magistrate reached a verdict. I have guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
Colder than a witch's titty. Is that a saying? That's a saying.
Is it?
Colder than a witch's titty out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't say that anymore.
No, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Is it not cool?
I don't know. I think it's fine. I guess maybe like neo-pagan people might find it derogatory, but that's I can't please everybody.
I saw one of those funny Onion headlines today that was like a new age hippie chick from high school is now new age fascist.
Yeah,
It was funny, and people were laughing. They were like, "Oh man, I know at least 2 of these."
Yeah, no, that's it's often talked about like the pipeline between and even in the New York Times today, they had an article about the anti-vax protests in Germany and how like it's all naturalists and fascists, and the naturalists will claim they're on like the far left and stuff like that, and it's and the article's about interesting bedfellows, but there's a continuum between one and the other. Like they you start off being concerned about GMOs and big pharma and shit like that, and then maybe have a little economic downturn, and it won't be long before you're going to be worried about the purity of your nation, and all that shit. So it's kind of unfortunate. All those fucking yoga fascists out there, just ready to red pill the bunch of us. Anyway, speaking of neo-pagans, you read any Batman recently?
Well, yeah, I think we're here to like dip our toes into the glory of death of the family.
Yeah, man.
Which I'm not. Listen. I don't know. This is some dark shit, and I'm not sure how they slipped this baby past editorial. Well, actually, I see how they slipped it past editorial by fucking taking like a baby shit happy ending.
Yeah, there's a lot of turning away. There's a lot of half images and stuff like that. A lot of silhouettes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like soft touch. These are supposed to be dead bodies, but the people aren't dead. Batman could probably save them. We can think about that in our minds as we go back to the tapestry of corpses.
Yeah. This is so fucking. So okay, before we so this is Batman Volume 2, number 13 through 17, and as James said, death.
I got Volume 3, right?
Well, no, sorry, no. It's called you jerk. It's because they rebooted, so it becomes Volume 2.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is Volume 3 in the collected edition of Scott Snyder's run on the Batman. Anyway, issues 13 through 17, December 2012 through to April 2013. And yeah, this is this. I'm not the first person to comment on this, but this is so. Have you seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre recently? Like the original one, or even I guess the remake.
Yeah, I have. Not super recently, 10 years ago maybe, but I'm not unfamiliar with the material.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean like Rob Zombie, all that stuff. Like this is just so in that type of horror, that Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror, especially when they're tied to the table. It's very reminiscent of the scene at the table. In
like a little bit of like old, like sort of like a hillbilly, like Deliverance sort of like that type of grotesquerie. Like,
yeah. Just brought into the Batman universe to I think pretty well. But I mean, like that's the tone he goes for, and that's why it feels so shocking. Like, God, is this for kids? And it is, right? Because kids love horror. This is pitched pretty, I think, well. I mean, and it still seems if at first glance on Amazon under detective or mystery graphic novels, it ranks number 8. All of Snyder's stuff ranks up pretty high in that particular category. I don't know what those sales actually fucking mean, but I happened to notice that the other day. So
yeah, this is and I mean, like at first I at first glance, like first issue or two, I'm like, okay, we're doing the dialogue's good. I like the dialogue. I like the batting back and forth. We're going between TV screens where we've got like internal narratives. We've got Gordon doing well, and I'm like, this is a little bit like HBO, like an HBO like cop show.
Yeah.
Like ramped up violence and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like Capullo gives a good extra layer. I mean, the guy's an all-star.
One thing, like I agree. He's very effective in a lot of respects, and he certainly can pull off a scene. But I gave him the old storytelling test on some of the pages, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to read the dialogue, and I'm going to try to determine what's happening. And sometimes I really couldn't, and it was the dialogue kind of made sense of the art, and that's fine. It's supposed to be like a harmony of art and words and stuff like that. But every once in a while, it kind of failed the storytelling test for me.
I think I see what you're saying, and I'm a bit with that too, because I did feel there was a few like mishmash or like overly busy things going on, and I also did feel like Snyder was long-winded, but I needed him. It felt like because sometimes I'm like if I've got a good artist and a writer gets long-winded, sometimes I'll glaze it like a little bit. My eyes will kind of glaze over, and I start skimming word bubbles, and I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's hit the mark here. That's I'll blast through a page or something like that. This, I didn't feel like I could do that. I had to read it. So like I see kind of what you mean there.
Yeah. And yeah, I think you're really right. He's wordy in the way that Brian Michael Bendis is wordy. He's wordy in the way that Claremont is wordy. But he doesn't have a lot of. I was going to say he doesn't have a lot of. He has captions, but it's all people talking. It's not internal.
It's
thinking.
good though. Like his Joker dialogue was very good for me. Very elevated Joker though. Very elevated Joker. Like way out in the stratosphere of villains. And I mean, there's got to be a market for that. Like I a lot of people recently, I feel like, or no, maybe not recently, but a lot of the Joker material that we touched, like in the podcast, in the last whatever million episodes, I don't know that. I think we've gotten a lot of dumbed down Jokers, like brought in for like a sort of a, and a tip of the hat.
Yeah, and when the reason we ended up talking about this, fill the audience in is I asked you, I was like, what's your favorite villain, and you came back with Magneto, but we've talked about Magneto quite a bit, and then I think you brought up Joker, and this is a good, I think a way of entering into that character, because this is. I really like this Joker on the one hand, because he's definitely worthy of the bat. He's beyond Moriarty. Like he's 5, 10, 15 steps ahead of everybody. And the only time he gets caught is actually the way he gets caught is because he doesn't understand that Batman can trust his allies. It's kind of cheesy like that still. That turns out to be his weakness. The thing that he thinks Batman's weakness is in fact the Joker's weakness.
Yeah, there is that like really like sort of keen moment at the end though, where like that's not just at the end. I feel like it's throughout the whole book, where it's like the Joker's kind of right. Like he doesn't want to have a family. Like he doesn't want to reset. He doesn't want people to take over for him. He just wants to be fucking alone doing this in like a sick fucking way. Like
talking about Batman.
yeah, Batman. Yeah. Like that's the fucking, the guy's dancing. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. That scene in Arkham. I guess before we get to the scene in Arkham, I just want to. I think, another thing that I feel that Joker was right about in this story, and I think he's wrong in a bunch of other respects. And I think like this version of the Joker, I think it could be better, or I want to see elements added to it. But this notion that he's you read The Court of Owls. Have you read that recently?
A little bit, yeah. I read
Yeah.
it when I got these, but now I feel like these are new to me. And I bought up to volume 8, but I had only read a couple of them, and I always meant to kind of go back and revisit them because I like Capullo and I like what Snyder was doing, and I just thought, oh, that's a good run for me to have. But then I didn't realize how old they were. They've been sitting on my bookshelf since whenever the fuck I grabbed this baby, 2013 or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Anyway, the only reason I ask is just because I really dislike the Court of Owls books because Batman's such a bitch. It's just like, you know, these masked aristocrats come in and they just, you know, Batman's ineffectual. He's impaled. He's left in a maze, and like it's really stupid. And then to have the Joker come around afterwards and be like, what happened to the king? You know, and his mission here is he's like, I'm gonna make up for the fact that you were such a bitch the last 2 story arcs, and I really appreciate that. You know, his way of doing it.
Yeah, and I liked that too, and I like and I did find Batman also ineffectual at the beginning of this book. He was on his fucking heels. He didn't know what to do with the Joker, or he did, but he was like completely fucking blindsided like multiple times. Like the Joker's butchering people in the police station. Fucking, he's on his heels. He saved a lot of people. And he made some corrections and he saved Gordon, but fucking barely.
I think that's fitting. Like for Batman to be okay. So I guess there's 2 things in that. Like the first thing is the utter fucking brutality of this Joker, which really ups the ante, and like that gets back to what I was saying about the, you know, Texas Chainsaw, like the horror elements. When he shows up at the police station, it's all horror beats, you know, straight out of horror movies.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's good, but on the other hand, like he killed 13 police officers. Like the National Guard would have been brought in. You know, this is a big deal. You know, they would have been international news. And it just seems like a blip. Like it's like the story doesn't take the time to appreciate the horror that it has just done, and it never stops to look.
Yeah, and I think that's this Joker being so far ahead of even Batman, I think maybe is where the threat level like comes way up on this kind of a story about the Joker, is where like if Batman can't see what's going to happen next, like how the police are going to be like 15 steps behind both of them. So I guess in that sense, you know, if I'm gonna take the narrative that way, I can allow the police to sort of not fucking make the cut most of the time.
No, and that doesn't bother me that they're ineffectual. I mean, like, and the second thing is so there's the utter brutality and horror of the Joker, and then it's the fact that, you know, as you've said, he's a million steps ahead of everybody, even the Batman. And that's pretty actually common old school Steve Englehart Batman Joker stories. You know, like or even even Denny O'Neil, you know, like it's not on or even Chuck Dixon, you know, like to tell a story of Batman and the Joker. It's the Joker's really, he has to have something he's got all the angles figured out, you know, because otherwise he's just like a goof, you know, and he's got to be a real problem for the Batman, and because then the Batman's the fucking greatest, right? We've all, and like especially post Morrison, we've come to think of the Bat God, you know, the infallible guy. He's got all the angles, and if you come at him, he's just going to put you in his box, and that. Morrison can do that just fine, but no one else can, and it makes it for a boring, you know, like where do you go after that?
It's true. Yeah, so this, I mean, in that sense, this is just refreshing. It's refreshing to see like they're not equal, like, or they are equal, but he's fucking dangerous. like really dangerous. There's people that could have died that were very important to Batman. And I really think that maybe this team sat down somewhere and probably pitched some more severe deaths for their run. And I would tend to say, based on the way the PG rating was sucked back into a lot of this content, that it looks likely like I don't know, whoever was supposed to die, or one or two people probably didn't die because of that.
Yeah, that's fair. On the other hand, I don't feel that Snyder, and I don't know the man, but he's got a long career at this point, and he's done a lot of work for DC, big events, death metal. And it's honestly, he's got like a story called Heavy Metal and another one called Death Metal, I think.
I got Heavy Metal.
Yeah, right. But like
I haven't put my toes in the water yet. But
yeah. And it's fine, like, and he's playing. I guess that when the only reason I brought that up is because he's just stating the obvious about like that's what he brings to DC Comics. Him and Jeff Johns is like, time to get metal, man. Although Snyder's much better at it. He's in some instances he's actually extremely elegant. He's very fair and detective-y and science-y in his dialogue and his presentation. And he's fair to the audience. Like when the Joker manages to kill all those guys in the mayor's office, you get a little hint, like, I had people clean the floors just the other week. Don't let your guys scuff it up. And
oh yeah, that's right. And then that was a bonding chemical for the old 1989 Batman Joker Toxin, right?
Yeah. Chemical, and they're like, but he gave him a frown, and they're like, and it's just like, Jesus, that's so grotesque.
Yeah, but again, it's like, it's classy. It's a throwback to well, it's just like a little nod,
Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. Like, everything about it, and it's not just context or subtext; it's text. Like the Batman's like, we're going back to the original cases, we're going back to the reservoir, we're doing all that stuff. Why is he doing this? And it is, and it's strange for such classicism to be refreshing, but it kind of is, But I don't know, it's like ultra horror versions of it's death metal versions of the old classics. Like, it's not just Elvis, it's Elvis played as death metal. And
yeah, and I mean the amputated face too is just like such an elevated overkill. That's got to be a I don't know, just that in itself is just like a detail that's just fucking twisted. Also, like, really, like, elevates the fantasy. Like, you would die of a grotesque infection very quickly if that was your face.
Yeah. And with flies all over and stuff like that. Yeah, you'd have maggots and everything.
If you could even function, you'd be dead, or parts of your face would be inoperable. You definitely would not be able to see, even though the eye drop gag was thrown in there in the dialogue. But
yeah, what do we think about? So amongst these stories, Jock shows up, as the artist for like little backup stories.
I was just about to talk about him.
Yeah,
he I don't mind him. I don't find him a jarring transition. He's a very different artist. But I like what he does too. I don't know. What did you think of him? He's a bit more black. And I whoever, I don't know, the only thing that I found a little too jarring is like the violent colorist change.
Oh, do you think the colorist changed in the backup as well?
It seems like it. Really seems like it. Like, because that's the most that like changes the whole aesthetic. Like, it changes the aesthetic a little more aggressively than I'd like.
Oh, actually, you know what? It's Jock doing the coloring as well. I think.
Oh, it's like a one-man show. I don't know. Well, that maybe that complements his art, which is fine, because I said, I don't have a problem with him. He was good.
Yeah, but I want to give a shout out to the fucking colorist of of the main story, like assuming it's not that. I don't know if they're doing it like what is it? It's like FCO Placencia or something like that. I don't know, like some sort of coloring corporation or coloring studio. But man, they do a really
Dave
great
Barron.
job.
Yeah, FCO Placencia, Dave Barron are the colorists.
Right, there we go. Yeah, and I agree that the shift over to Jock, assuming it's you notice it, well, maybe Dave Barron is doing the Jock coloring.
I mean,
don't
I'd
know.
rather not have Jock when you have somebody like Capullo. Like,
Yeah, but yeah,
but if it's for schedule and this
I
is
don't think
good.
that had to do with schedule.
This is good pacing though. Like I didn't mind when Jock cut in, because like I got mostly Capullo, and it seems like he did like some of the most of the pinnacle moments were handled by him. So if it's planned that way, that's okay. It's like when you get I still have to go. I'm gonna go back to this. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it a million times. That fucking Grant Morrison new X-Men run. That goddamn Van Skeever is haunted me.
Yeah.
He just cut in and ruined the guy's fucking book. He ruined it hard. And then they leaned on him. They were like, bro, bring him back. Keep butchering fucking Morrison's stuff. This is gorgeous. Let it ride. Man, what a knife to the heart. Like, I'd just rather you didn't bother. Like, throw the scripts in the fucking garbage. Jesus.
Yeah, that's very different though. I mean, because obviously it was intended for, for everything about this is of a piece. Everybody knows what they're doing. They know why they're doing it. It's not.
Yeah, I never got that feeling. This was just like it just wasn't an unfit. That was it was an okay guy to have slide through a couple of books for for whatever purposes to get your smoothness out of whatever. Because I'm sure Capullo's not like, whatever. Fuck, man, it's not.
They're just
1998. It's not 1998 anymore.
Yeah,
I'm sure the guy doesn't operate at that pace anymore.
No, he operates at that pace. This has nothing. I think we're talking about. I think the problem is maybe you're thinking that you got 17 pages of Capullo and 8 pages of the other dude. I think you got your full 22 pages of Capullo, if I remember correctly, and a Jock backup strip.
Okay.
Supplementary. I think I kind of want the original issues, just for a moment, just to flip through. But I think that's what we're talking about here. I don't think it has anything to do with schedules, because Capullo's, man, he's been doing 22-page books monthly since he was 15, right?
Yeah.
It's,
and my guy's rendering 6 or 7 expressive faces per page with fully rendered backgrounds and cityscapes. I'm going into Arkham Prison. I'm going everywhere, man. What a fucking, I don't know, and like you said, I know you hit a couple storytelling snags, but overall, I take the Pepsi challenge with this fucking guy, man.
Yeah. This is a tremendous collaboration between these goddamn racist grandpa putting tremendous in my mouth. This is a great collaboration though. This is a good, I really enjoyed the run as a whole. I think it showed a lot of balls. I think that's what I like about it. After the Court of Owls, which I thought was stupid, I was like, okay, now we're fucking cooking, and they just cook right to the end.
Yeah, this had chops. I don't often read a Batman book and go, oh fuck, man, who let you guys do this? Fucking burning horses alive.
Yes.
Just smashing, fucking freezing and smashing horses' heads off. And then the absolute beatdown of all those fucking, how many guys did he beat up? 50? That was a moment too. The Batman comeback where he was so ineffectual. He was on his heels. Joker's fucking dancing around him steady. And then when that was the come on, when all those cops came at him with tasers and fucking flaming clubs and shit, and everybody was left laying. That was the Batman for real.
Yeah, and at the end, and there's a actually it's not here, but like there's some elements where you get after the Joker sprays acid on his face like they're fighting, and it gets all Frank Millery in that moment. This is this is like a remix album. Like it's especially as the stories continue. You get through 0 Year and you get through. I don't remember the rest of the fucking stories. Sorry, but yeah, it just feels like a remix album of like it's taken the Morrison aesthetic of Incorporated and Transcend and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's Batman Incorporated involved. That's discussed a couple of times.
Yeah, and we've already talked about just how classic this is and how he's like and Batman's like, you remember that time on the blimp and stuff like that. Like it acknowledges all the history of Batman, but it's just like and accepts it, but it's just like, but it's within the world of Seven. It's within the world of like just this horrible nightmare world, which is Gotham City. I don't think that I don't know if Scott Snyder's written. Scott Snyder must have written Superman at some point, right? Like I guess we don't know. But Metropolis isn't like this. Gotham's like this. This is where the horror happens.
Yeah, this is Gotham times 10.
Yeah.
But even like, oh man, I'm looking at the Royal Tapestry right now.
Oh my God, yeah. That's like
That's bad. But like when you look at it, even just looking at the artwork, you can almost see like, hail the Bat King, hail the Bat King. That looks added. Like those look like corpses.
Oh, you're right. Well, it doesn't look like they're actually speaking.
No, they look like dead bodies. Full on stitched together dead bodies. They did in the page before as well.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, that was a soft touch again. Like, well,
yeah, the only reason
Batman will just unstitch those guys. They'll be all right.
Yeah. I thought that would be better, but he put tubes in the stomachs and voila! And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. This is not, getting back to.
I mean, that's grotesque also, but.
Yeah, that's super fucking gross. And getting back to Seven, like that level of super villainy, like ultra like serial killery. I keep saying it, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre I guess also like Human Centipede-esque horror.
Yeah, Human Centipede. I was gonna say that was definitely a feeling there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then I guess he rips through all the guys, and then
Batman pounds through the villains too, which is a nice touch.
Yeah,
he just mows down all those guys. They're not on his fucking level, and that's when you're getting your Batman back. Until he gets like runs into the fucking Jester himself, and, and he gets sort of fucking boggled again. He gets tripped up one more time.
I do like the idea of Joker as it's a fun way to dick around with the idea of the Joker, and I'm sure other people have done it before, but just this idea of like this classic notion of the court jester being like not just for entertainment but also for judgment, also for like the bad news, the satire, letting the king know that he's not wearing any pants, that sort of shit. And it's a good role for him, but he's also like if I thought about it for a minute, which I did, like it's basically the Joker doing like an apocalypse thing, survival of the fittest, and he's here to make Batman fit like the X-Men, Apocalypse makes the X-Men fit ostensibly. And I don't know if that's a good role for him. I don't care for that. Like maybe like it's fine. I'll accept it. It's not like wildly out of character, but I guess I just don't care for it. I just don't think that the Joker ought to be concerned with something like that. It makes it too much about. It makes. Well, I don't know.
It does. It makes the Joker's intentions a little deep for me. for
Yeah.
like for a complete psychopath, for like a, you know what I mean? Like if we're going there, if we're going like this guy's a Splatterhouse genius level psychopath, just an unpredictable psychopath, then I mean, like, those intentions are odd. They're a little offbeat. They're a little high intelligence. I mean, yeah, like you say, I guess it's not a far stray. It's just like a bit of an odd step to the left.
Yeah, it's like a Hannibal Lecter and Clarice thing. You know, he's trying to mentor the Batman, but the Batman's like, "Fuck this guy, stop talking, ignore him." You know, it's just an act. He's just doing these things. Like, this is just part of a pathology for this individual. He's just wants, at the end of the day, he wants to go through all this grotesquerie in order to, like, dance with me. And I just got to put him down as fast as possible. You know, like, and whatever he's trying to do and whatever he's trying to say, it's just another one of his fucking gimmicks, and fuck that guy. And I like that.
Yeah, that's a good angle, but I also think that there is or I get the impression that there's a part of Bruce that's a little torn about that literally does want to be detached from this, like, big ridiculous. He almost makes his family seem like, well, and like, I mean, I know there's probably a lot of, I don't know, there's people that don't feel that way and people that do feel that way, but I feel like Batman's Batman, and everybody else are like subsidiary clownish characters that are in this big goofy fucking, it's like the Teen Titans Go when I get into a scenario where I've got to look at all these stupid fucking Robins that came back to life, and it's just this ridiculous family of you know, fuck off. Like, they give you Snyder gives you this slight impression that Batman's, like, doesn't want to be connected to that either, you know. And that's sort of the Joker thing, right? He wants him to, it's just gonna be me and you, you know. I'll get rid of these guys for you. I'll elevate you.
Yeah, I don't. I agree that it, like, the I like the Batman Dick relationship, and I like the Batman Tim Drake relationship. And
oh man, I'm even a fan of Damian.
Damian. Yeah, but it's just too much.
It's like when the way that Snyder sort of puts them down, like, on the line, puts them all in the Batcave with him. He makes them to be goofy, so that you sort of see what's going, where the Joker's coming from. You said you definitely don't empathize with him, obviously, because he's a butcher, but you see what he's up to, you know.
Well, and none of them contribute to the resolution, you know, like, except for Alfred. Alfred is ultimately the individual that even though when actually his response is very interesting. So Alfred he shows up at this, like, fucking dinner where everybody thinks their face has been ripped off and served to them on ice.
Oh, which is awesome, and also leads to the question, whose faces are those?
Yeah. Never you mind. Well, I guess he got them from Arkham with all of his fucking human centipede behavior. He was just, like, busy.
Yeah, maybe
creating.
so. And what's man? I'm gonna just step back one sec, quick, to the sad ass Justice League.
Oh yeah.
You monster! That was beautiful.
I don't know what the point of that is when he has like schlubby Superman grab the chain. What is it? A chainsaw? It's the chainsaw of he's doing like this Merlin thing. He's this King Arthur thing.
Yeah, he's like, take the sword from the stone. You're no king.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And Wonder Woman's not the king. Batman's the king, you know, and just like he's very much a fan. Like, he's kind of us. Is maybe like.
Yikes.
Yeah, we're just like, fuck, Court of Owls. Jesus Christ, someone's got to slap the shit out of him. Get rid of that goddamn family and bring back the Batman. And it's the writers kind of like, no guys, you know, he needs this ridiculous fucking menagerie of idiots. But the story doesn't tell us why. It really doesn't. Like I was going to say, the only person who's effectual is Alfred. And when Alfred comes out like looking like pale and like chemically altered and stuff like that, Batman's response is not horror. He's like, thank God. And because he's like, Alfred's alive, so he's fine. And that's like and Alfred is the one that stops everybody from fighting at the end. He's the only one who also has agency within this story, but the rest of them are fucking useless. Like, so it kind of,
it's true. It's almost like an exercise in like pity or reflex that Bruce is even saving them.
Well, he does love them. But it's stupid for the story. Like, the Joker's trying to say that these people are kind of holding you back and they're not making you stronger and stuff like that. But it's not like, what would be required for the Joker to be wrong is like for Nightwing to have fucking saved the day, or to have been instrumental in like, in having tipped Bruce Wayne in some respect to the larger scheme. Like if Morrison was doing it, Morrison would have had a thing where Batman's like, Nightwing told me about such and such chemical factory, and I've been on your fucking case for months. Like, I don't know. It just
right, yeah, like some kind of a nod that the family wasn't actually completely useless.
Yeah.
But again, if you can also just read into it that the Joker's just that fucking dangerous. He's only a Batman equivalent. No one else could touch him.
Yeah, and they do that with the villains, like they Riddler's made a fool of. All of them are Penguin, and well, I guess in Snyder's universe, the main villains are the Penguin, Two-Face, Riddler, Joker, and the rest you can dispose of, like Mr. Freeze and
Clayface and Scarecrow. The Riddler actually had that cool jailbreak moment. Also, really liked that.
Snyder loves the Riddler and does a great job with the Riddler, like the next story arc where they go back in time to year 0 or whatever. That's like an extended and one of the best Riddler stories. So good. If I remember correctly. Either way, there's a Riddler story that's very good. I forget. I might be mixing some of the settings up or whatever. Yeah. When he just escapes out of the prison, that's good stuff.
Yeah. It was like there was 43 ways out, only 4 of them like matched your terms here since you put the fucking gas in with me, right? I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And later on, he'll kind of tell an interesting, like he'll make Two-Face extremely effective when they do All-Star Superman or All-Star Batman with John Romita Jr. I don't care for John Romita Jr.'s. I don't think he's suitable to the story that was being told. But I kind of like that.
I have that run too in issues somewhere. My little boxes here.
Yeah.
I could have done without that mutant cat. Also,
yeah, that was
fucking awful.
Just shows up at the door with the polycephalony. Yeah.
So grotesque.
Yeah.
Fucking. Just I don't know. They got away with a lot here. Then that fucking axe murder attempt and the fucking laughing gas and I don't know. It was a lot going on.
Yeah. I like this scene. There is a lot to like. I like the scene in Ace Chemicals when he thinks he's going to see the red. He thinks the Joker will be there, and it's actually we know that. Well, actually, we don't know that it's Harley Quinn in like a puffy outfit and a hood, and it's the Joker's voice is being broadcast. And there's a moment when the art sells it. It's just like he sees the talking, and then it zooms in on Batman's eyes, and he fucking angry squints. For a panel, and he's like, "It's not you. Where is he?" And that's a good way of, Batman. That shows that Batman knows the score, and it came together pretty well. And I like when he was in that vat, just thinking about like the chemicals that fell on the Joker.
Yeah, he that was like one of the early on moments too where like I just felt like he didn't he just didn't really get out in in a great way. Like he's
Oh yeah, when the giant mallet hits him.
yeah, he got hit by a fucking giant cartoon mallet and then
Yeah.
barely fucking escaped out of a vat of acid. Like
Hmm.
it was not high performance Batman.
Yeah, we didn't notice the giant mallet that was added to this factory all of a sudden.
Yeah, you admit you missed that. Like he was so, but I mean I know. Then they hinted at things like he was barely trying to fucking contain his rage. No, but that was after the fact, right? That was only after Alfred was taken.
Yeah, and there's no excuse for it, and and by the end of the story, yeah, man, we got our Batman back. He is like he went through hell, and but yeah, and he took care of the Joker, and like it's kind of I don't agree or don't care for the, and I guess I just don't fucking care, I should say, about the ending of this story, like the Pyrrhic victory that he wins, where like, okay, I saved the day, but my family won't talk to me anymore because like Joker whispered something to them, and like I don't care about that. Like you didn't give me any reason to care about any of the relationships here. And so I don't care if those people don't want to talk to you. That just means they're going to be out of the book, and I don't have to put up with their fucking bullshit because I just want to watch the Batman show. Thanks, and so the story's gesturing toward, like, it's writing a check that it can't cash. But at the same time, it's still very good. I'm trying not to shit on this too much, but I'm just thinking about the mechanics here. Like, it's trying to tell us that we should care about these characters, and it kind of sells it a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, I just don't care.
It's true. I just don't.
I care.
And then it's just like I don't know. It's just like it's a soft ending. I did like the ending, the little mini ending after the Joker drops and doesn't die. And I see what you mean by like sort of like some Frank Miller-esque, like really close up imagery on the mask, and the way that it sort of gets chunked down a bit more. The art feels chunkier. But I like that he picks up Joker's little fucking bat skin notebook, and it's fucking empty. And he was right all along. Like, Bruce was right. He didn't know their fucking identities.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything. But again, that's like we're moonwalking out so that someone else can take the book without an issue. But maybe that's just more clever than I'm giving it credit for. Also,
it's strange. I honestly, like, the fact, I don't know what it means. I guess I want to say two things. Is that so the first thing. Actually, I'll leave the first thing alone for a minute. It's kind of a criticism of this version of Batman, which is otherwise pretty good. But so I'll leave that aside for the moment. But I don't know what it means. This whole, like, I went to visit the Joker as Bruce Wayne, and like he didn't recognize me and he didn't care. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but I don't know what this means. Like, what's the point of that? Like, how is this it's a revelation that Bruce was right? And it's stupid. He could have just told everyone this right at the beginning, and then they would have been like, okay, great.
No, he did tell them all, didn't he?
Not this story. Not the fact that I went to see him once, Alfred. I visited him. He just insisted that the computer, actually, this is why I think of my first complaint, is that this Batman is so dependent on his gadgets. Run the analysis again, computer. Run the analysis again, computer. And then when they're like, Joker could have never been in the cave, he's like, the computer would have noticed them. And there's some, he's just surrounded by technology and sort of ensconced in it, and it makes sense. Where do you get those wonderful toys, right? And the Bat computer, and it's an extension of all of that. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's like, would it be cool if he had a microscope doing that? And no. If he was like, let me check my trusty microscope, and you'd be like, well, that's stupid, like be a man. And in this, I just feel that he's he just really, really trusts the things that machinery tells him, and is surprised when others don't trust machinery to the extent that he does. I guess that's maybe the problem I ultimately have, because that's his argument. The machine would have known the Joker was in here, and they're like, well, the machine's Joker's pretty good. You know, he could trick your machine, right? But you know, Batman. It ultimately comes down to this encounter at Arkham. You know, and he should have just told.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know that it would have helped anyway, because he seemed to be on his heels. He's like, you guys can trust me, and it's like, really, like, if you're this far into being a partner of the Batman, I mean, you really think he doesn't know the fucking Joker?
Now, I think that's special pleading.
It seemed like there was sort of a lot of mistrust for poor Batman there.
Yeah, no, it's stupid. It's misplaced. But I mean, okay, but what's okay? He has the option of telling them two versions of a story. He chooses to tell version one, and version one is like, oh yeah, I found a card in the Batcave once. Oh, but don't worry about it.
I feel like that. Yeah, you're right. Like that could have been completely omitted.
He doesn't tell part two, you know. And it concerned me so much that I went to go see him in Arkham dressed as Bruce Wayne, and I confronted.
No, he tells them don't worry about it. They would have picked up his weight.
Yeah. And you're just like, you fucking stupid idiot. Like, you know, like, and I don't care for this. One of the things that Grant Morrison's run attempted to do, it was to excise, you know, similar to his run with the X-Men, was to try to like fix Batman in the way that he fixed Professor X. Because the problem with Batman is that, you know, like he's a prick and he pushes everyone away in the way that you're talking about. He wants to be alone in that horror. But that's dumb. We know he's not alone in that horror. He's got Alfred and he's got Robin and he's got, you know, he has a fucking sidekick. And that's like an essential part of him. And this story returns to that toxic, you know, identity crisis era. You know, Batman pushes people away and causes problems for himself through mistrust. And that's boring. You know, I've just like that's one of the parts of the story that I just kind of find really boring, because I'm just like, honestly, you did that for the last 20 years. That's the thing you don't need to bring back. Like we did that. Thanks. And now, you know, let's just have some like fucking Batman stories. Thanks. You know, in this horror universe.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think it would. I don't. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like there was like, it was like, I think the book just could have ended with him dropping in that little mini blank book. It was like, then we did an Alfred catharsis. Then we did the retelling of the second story that would have made all his friends trust him. Then we did the friends not trusting him. Then we also went for the Joker toxin.
Oh, and that's actually
which was actually probably that was the best. That was okay.
Yeah,
I liked that.
But here's him. This is emblematic for me as well. It's just like, show, you know, he's just talking to the machine all the time, and he's not actually doing any analysis himself. And he knows, you know, like, and he's also, I don't know, is he talking to us as the audience, like original element symbol? Like he already knows. He doesn't need the machine to put it on, but we need to see it.
He breaks the fourth wall to have our Joker ending for us.
Yeah. And I love the fly on that. And this gets back to the colorist. Like this could not have worked without that colorist. Like it could have worked a little bit. It could have worked pretty well. But the way they make the screen look like the glow of the screen with the fly on it, you know, just like that's
it's almost like a VGA monitor or whatever.
Yeah. It's great. And it even kind of gives it you feel that if you put on 3D goggles, you'd have a little 3D horror feature here. Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it too. And I thought I had read this, and maybe I did, or maybe I partially read it, but I don't remember it as fondly as I did for this read anyway.
Yeah, as it was coming out, you know, like I remember reading it month to month for a little while, and it kind of, at the time it was very good. Like I read the whole run, so don't take this as if I wasn't kind of a fan of it, but from time to time it felt a bit like a slog, and this was still, but it reads nicely as a collection.
It's definitely meant to be a collection.
Yeah.
I would hate to do this as issue to issue. Issue to issue would be terrible. I think not terrible, but it would be it would lose steam. I think more like in that fashion.
Yeah, and I recall that. I remember all this being an exciting time, in the reading of the books. Because man, this like Capullo. Oh God, so good.
I think it feels like it was probably a high point in the run.
I think it gets better and better. I don't actually think it's the highest point in the run. But that's my recollection. It'd be interesting. I meant it in our text. I was like, well, we should go through this run.
Maybe we won't go back to the Court of Owls.
No, I'm not.
Since you summarized the first 3 books pretty fairly. Now I know why you started here.
Yeah, I'd be quite happy to move on from this point and review some of those stories. Like it's got this run has my favorite modern day Batman moment, and it's Batman fucking putting up the middle finger, and at the fucking Red Hood, in a flashback sequence, and I was like, fuck, that's awesome. That's my group. Like perfect. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. What do we want to rate this thing out of fucking chattering teeth?
I don't know. Fucking, it's got to be 8 royal tapestries out of 10.
At least. Yeah. I think
it might even be a bit better than that. It's a high value Joker story. I'm hard pressed to be like, oh man, unless you're gonna go into Alan Moore territory, I don't know how many really game changing Joker stories there are, except for your big Frank Miller one and your big Alan Moore one.
You get the this is those two are fine. That's the high water mark.
Oh yeah, whatever you can't say much.
But
it's just that's your necessary graphic novel reading for any genre or whatever.
Yeah. But within the corpus of sort of Batman or whatever. Yeah, like I said, Denny O'Neil, like I said, Steve Englehart. They did those classic Batman stories that this book is signaling to. Although this guy's going back to Bob Kane and stuff like that, which I like. Anyway, yeah, I'm inclined, as a Joker story, fine, 8, 9. I'll put it way up there. It's not going to be a 10. We know where the 10s are at. But yeah, I don't. None of them are must read. But if you care about, I don't know, if you like the Joker Batman dynamic, this is.
If you're a Joker fan and you passed on this, you should go back to it.
Shake your fucking head and go. Go immediately back.
Yeah, I don't know what you're reading.
Yeah,
Joker stories. Have you read that other Joker, that Black Label one?
Yeah, with Azzarello. It's an Azzarello Bergamo jam, and I read that. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I got it recently for cheap.
But
was it any good?
Oh yeah, man. It's pretty good. It's a good Joker. It's the kind of Joker you were talking about, high powered, psychopathic, on the run, on the loose. You're just like, what the fuck? But it's Azzarello, so it's not weird. It's all hard boiled and stuff like that. But
it's fair.
Yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Yeah. Sorry, that was off topic. But
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just I don't know. I guess, but if you start thinking about Joker stories, you're like, there's kind of a paucity of them, of really good ones. Lots of people fuck around with the Joker, but very few people tell good Joker stories. And this was the this dude's attempt to Snyder, to do that. He does another attempt at the end of his run, of his Batman run, and in the one that I collected Endgame.
I think I have that one too. That's not the end though.
Oh, it just keeps going after that. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Or Gordon takes over as Batman and stuff like that. Either way, we're gonna get it. Yeah. Sorry, spoilers. But it's kind of cool how it happens. So I would like to go through this run a little bit. And
yeah, we'll definitely put the toes back in the water on this. This is good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As far as like a comic itself, though, I'm gonna give it my old classic 7 point. I don't know. Like, actually, it's an 8. This is good. People got to read this. Even if it's like a little ham-fisted and like has some weaknesses. Fuck, what doesn't? This is good.
Yeah, like you can't be like this isn't. Yeah, we read some shit, man.
Yeah,
this is.
I can't in any good conscience give this anything less than an 8. 8 flaming horses just running at you out of the darkness. Fuck that. Just for that scene alone. Like, that's just, they've got so many balls, just like the biggest fucking balls, and editorials behind them. And I'm like, all right, boom. This is it. It gets goofy. It gets fucking goofy later. I think Scott Snyder, by the end of this run, Scott's giant balls get to his head, and he becomes like George Bush, and he just like goes off to Iraq, and you're just like, no. It's all right. Remember that?
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, fucking stupid idiot. Anyway, so I don't know if you like big balls. Come on down.
Yeah.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.